Welcome everyone to episode 6 of the pirate campaign. You are now in the port town of Marli. As a quick recap, you had some adventures trying to navigate your way there through sandstorms, close calls with the engine room. You landed into Port Marli and discovered that one of the captured prisoners had escaped off the ship, and you had spoken to some of the officials in town and discovered various locations of interest, including the embassies that a certain Lady Alara de Pont had been taken to. You had received a bit of information as well in the form of a coded message sent from the Argonaut that was translated by Edric, not entirely in full. You have Tarin, who has a journal that was discovered on the ship.
Oh shit, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
And had found a map that had indicated quite possibly the route that, as far as Neros was concerned, was potentially where the ships containing loot or prisoners would be travelling to return back from the raid on Freeport. You disembarked all your passengers, and right as the session ended, Bhajiri and Merrisea have gone pelting into the city, chasing after the sailor who had crawled through a hole on the ship and jumped into the lake on landing. Edric is standing not too far from the Argonaut, and the rest of you are either on the Cirrus or very near it. So, welcome to Port Marli.
Bum bum bum.
Now what do we do?
Well, some of you have things that cross your mind when you think of Port Marli. Mug, specifically, you have been told of a place here that piqued your interest with one of the passengers.
Oh, okay. Well, can you remind me?
Yep. That was the assassin that you found on the ship on the Argonaut.
Yes.
And he told you of a tavern called the Shattered Hand,
Oh, okay.
where you could
What
go
was
find
it about? Yeah.
you could go find work and potentially a place in the world.
But wait, wasn't I already hired on the ship or something like that?
You were hired on the ship, but he said that you could earn yourself some good money and build yourself a place in the world with
Did
what
he
you
say
could.
what type of work?
He did not indicate what kind of work it was at all, and I don't believe you asked.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Um,
Well, Mug might as well go and check this Shattered Hand out. It can't be difficult work. Unless there's some thinking needed, in which case he's fucked.
potentially.
Okay.
There is a map pinned in the chat, and that has some of the key locations that are in the town,
Okay.
including places that have already been pointed out to some of the crew. So the embassies and the market district are readily pointed out to anyone that wants to look.
Okay.
and most of the civilians in the area are going to be able to point you in the general direction of everything. The Cirrus
Okay.
is your ship.
But where exactly are we?
So you're in the port town of Marli. It is a...
But, the Cirrus.
Yep, the
So
Cirrus
number 1.
number 1 is your ship.
Okay.
And this whole town is built on a lake inside what appears to be a old volcano caldera.
Oh,
I love it. I love
this
everything
is
about
safe. Very safe.
it. They're living on the edge, man. They're living on the edge.
I mean, once it goes boom, Bingo wants to see it.
Did someone say boom?
So you've been somewhat left to your own devices as Bhajiri has effectively bolted into the city with Merrisea close on his tail.
Of course he would. Yeah, I think Mug is like, see you guys later. I will go for a walk to the shattered hand, and then goes off to try to find it. Like he would just say that he will go for a walk to the shattered hand.
A passing dockhand sort of hears the word shattered hand, looks you up and down, and then just rushes away, pretending that he didn't hear or see anything.
Do I need to roll perception if I notice?
Feel free if you want.
Oh, how do we roll again? With 3?
3d6, yep.
Oh, where are my d6s?
And that would be perception seeing.
Yeah, it's probably not great. Whatever I have for it.
I believe a +1.
So yeah, it's not too bad. Oh, I got an 8 in total.
You were so focused, you walk on by this human and don't even give him a second glance.
Yeah, I don't even notice. Like, meh, who cares? I'm just going on my walk to this place. I'm trying to remember the name of it. Thanks, guys. I keep repeating shattered hand, shattered hand.
I love that, Edric. Please feel free to take bets.
Or will mug someone.
Will mug get mugged? Join the Jakuza. Murder these bitches. Other. Can we have all 4 as an option?
Oh, a combination of all 4.
I feel like we just gave her a
All of the above.
checklist.
So is anyone following Mug, or the rest of you got your own plans for your current stay?
Oh, I'm following. I'm following the big tall lady, but she's not here.
Yep, she has already bolted off after Bhajiri.
Yes, I will not.
Yeah.
Because I've only got little legs.
Well, if it's any help, Tarin's going to panic that she's lost Bhajiri, or he's lost Bhajiri and Merrisea, and attempts to find them because he thinks it's very important that they find this prisoner. So he's just going to kind of wander aimlessly or run in the direction he thinks they've gone and just stop everybody who comes across and ask if they've seen somebody who matches the description of the prisoner. And a monkey man. And a tall elf.
Most of the information you get from various passersby is contradictory and pointing in different directions and not exactly all that helpful.
Right. Well, I'm assuming by this point Tarin's got himself hopelessly lost. So
You've walked down several streets and headed sort of roughly towards where the embassies would be, but wound up in a more seedier side of town, which is not too far from where the Shattered Hand is.
right.
So you're not
Can
you're not in the exact same spot as the tavern, but you are probably a couple of blocks away from it.
in which case, I think Tarin's going to cut his losses in terms of chasing the prisoner and see if he can make his way to the Shattered Hand to at least meet up with one crewmate. So he's going to try and find Mug now.
So you stop a thin, sort of greying old man who's in old workman's clothes. And are you gonna ask him for the directions to the Shattered Hand, or?
Yeah, probably, since Tarin again doesn't know the city. So
This old man looks at Tarin, sort of looks both ways down the street and goes, "Lad, you really do not want to go anywhere near that place."
why is that?
The sorts of people that tend to frequent that establishment, they're not good people. They're dangerous, and it's got a reputation for people going in there and not coming back out.
Oh, sorry. Right. Well, I think one of my crew have already headed there. So I should probably go help because, well, I'd quite like them to come back out.
The old man goes, "You may as well cut your losses, lad, but if you're desperate to go try and save them, the Shattered Hand is down that way." And he sort of gestures and gives you a couple of directions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That I really appreciate it. Thank you. And Tarin's gonna head in what she thinks is the direction of the Shattered Hand, hopefully following the directions.
You hear the old man sort of muttering to himself as he walks on. He's like, "Suicidal sailors."
Glenn. So,
Yep.
Team name.
I kind of want Mug to be walking down the street looking confused and muttering, "Shattered Hand. Where is the Shattered Hand?" Just trying to ask people for help as well.
So,
people.
I think she hurt her hand.
Mug, the first person you come across looks at you, goes very pale, and runs. It takes you a little
Hey,
while.
help me, you bastard! Can I run up to her?
It takes you a little while, but you come across a very, very drunk. Hard to tell his age because he's obviously not had a shave and a haircut in many, many years. And it's hard to tell if like the lines on his face are from age or just from hard drinking.
Okay, I won't judge. I won't judge.
He probably wouldn't notice if you did.
Yeah.
So you
Mug
approach,
doesn't judge.
and basically, I'm presuming you're just going to say "Shattered Hand" in his face, or something along those lines.
Shattered Hand. Where is it?
It takes a little while, and then he just laughs and goes, You're walking the wrong way. It's down that way. And then you go left. And then you go to the other left. And then you go right.
Okay. Okay, left, right. I
Uh,
can remember this. What was the name of the place?
And he goes, I'll take you there if you buy me a drink.
Okay, sure. Why?
That's my
That's very
mayonnaise.
helpful.
So he gets up, very slowly, staggers a bit, and starts stumbling on down and...
I will just carry him. Say, can I just carry him?
You pick him up and toss him over your shoulders like a sack of potatoes. And, like, from his position, he is quite comfortable. And every now and again, he just sort of points in a direction.
This works perfectly. Problem solved.
So
Style.
he leads you down a couple of alleys and side streets to a area that is very run down, and there is a building with a sign out the front of it that looks like back in its heyday may have been a very nice looking tavern. Now it looks like a zombie survival like safe house. Post-apocalyptic safe house. There is like boards across the windows. You're not certain if that's because there's no glass in those windows or whether it's just to stop people getting thrown through them on a regular basis.
Well, you know what? Mug is glad that this is not a fancy-ass place.
There is also a very, very big orc in leather and leaning on a very large hammer, standing out the front.
Okay, I guess I will walk up to the orc and hey, good day to you, old chap. I'm here for finding a good job for myself.
The orc takes one look at you and then looks at the guy on your shoulder and goes, I wasn't expecting to see Elven here, but I presume you're the one paying for his drinks. And then
One drink, I promised.
Well, he's got an eye for talent. And then he looks you up and down and goes, go up to the bar and ask for a golden ale. They'll find a job for you.
Golden ale.
A golden ale.
Golden ale. Oh, right.
Let's just say that.
Okay.
Let's just say that we don't serve that here, but it's an indication that you're looking for the kind of work that you look like you can handle.
Well, thank you very much for the advice. Have a nice day.
He steps out of the way and lets you in.
Wow. Perfect day so far. Everything is just working out. Okay. So I will go to the bar and deposit down my luggage.
Yep. And he gets up acting as sober as a saint and leans on the bar and goes, I'll be having one of... He looks down at you and grins and goes, only one. And he looks back across the bar at the barkeep and says, I'll be having your finest red, thank you. And this one here is looking for a golden ale. The barkeep is a very, very old dwarf. And he squints at the man leaning on the bar and just chuckles and goes, on your tab or someone paying?
Yeah, I'm paying for one drink of his as a thanks for taking me here.
The dwarf laughs, nods and goes, easy done. That'll be a single silver. And then
Fine.
and then he goes and reaches under the bar, pulls out a wine bottle, and pours up a very large mug of wine in a very, very dented tin cup and hands it to the fella leaning on the bar, puts the wine back, and then turns to you and leans on the bar to get a good look at you. So, you're the one looking for work. Well,
I'm looking for a golden ale, I'm told.
yep. And that will definitely get you what you're looking for. And he gestures towards a door off to the side of the bar and goes, through there, there's a private room for those with the golden ale, and you will definitely find work in there.
But thank you. And I guess I will just walk in there.
You walk in, and there is a large back room. No, Edric. There's a large back room with tables and people drinking, but this one is different. There's guards standing on the door. They glance you over, but they don't react to you entering the room. Up one far into the room, there is what appears to be a large pinboard of notes and pictures, and there's a couple of people up there sort of reading from it, and you see one go and grab a poster off and walk away with it.
Oh no, there is reading involved.
Uh,
This is a tough job.
A barmaid is walking around and serving drinks to some people and notices you walk in, and she deposits a drink in front of a very, very scarred individual and then approaches you and goes, so you're one of the ones looking for work? You new here?
Yes, yes, I'm looking for a golden ale.
Well, you came to the right place. Ale's on the house, as long as you accept any of those jobs that are up on the wall over there. And she gestures up
Do
to...
I have to read them to accept them?
She laughs at that. It's like, if you like, I can help you pick out some. Reading's not the strong point of everyone in this district.
I think that would work a lot better, to be honest.
She smiles and goes, following up, we'll find you something. Probably something within the range of what you're after. I mean, we've got everything from basic jobs up there to some of the most dangerous jobs known to man. Or dwarf.
But I'm a dwarf, yes, exactly.
She smiles
I
at
mean,
that.
danger is exciting, right? So.
She giggles at that. It's like, oh, definitely. She leads you through the tables and the various patrons of this tavern and takes you up to the board. There's a mixture of what looks to be just written jobs with just a whole bunch of text on a piece of paper. There's some up there that have pictures. And she steps to the side to let you get a good view of the board and goes, we've got everything here from simple assassinations through to thefts, guard jobs, blackmail, extortion, whatever tickles your fancy.
Right.
All of them pay well. They're paid in advance to the Shattered Hand, and then we pay once the job's complete.
Right. That seems like a good idea. I don't want anything too fiddly, just like simple stuff. Danger is not a problem. danger is good.
She
But,
looks
don't-
you
don't-
over
don't
and
have
goes,
Instructions that are too complicated.
well, let's go for something that lets you choose your own methods. Assassination, perhaps.
But is it a simple assassination, or does it have to be covered?
Well, you've got a couple of choices. Let's see here. And then she looks up at the board and points at a couple of contracts that have pictures up there. I'm presuming you can identify people from, although they're not always the best artwork, they're reasonable at times.
I mean, I do have, like, I can see. I'm just not good at reading.
So she points at one on the board and goes, Thul Gudrum, a former informant for an order of assassins that turned traitor on them. They want him dead. That one will be 50 gold. You see a picture of an elf with a scar running across his eye. The next picture she taps is a human with a very, very braided beard. The name on that one she reads out, Silas Begatal the Bastard. Someone up north wants him dead.
That's funny.
And then she turns to the last one. This one's dangerous and this one's new. Lady Alara de Pont.
Huh.
This one they don't want dead, they want her alive and kicking. And last
Oh,
I
that
heard,
sounds difficult.
she was in the embassy. There's lots of guards there.
Okay.
But then she
Is the yeah.
she taps
Is the
them in.
embassy a fancy place?
It's fancy enough.
I don't like fancy places. How about I pick the middle one then?
Silas Begatel the Bastard? Sure.
I like his name. It sounds funny.
She takes it down and passes it to you. Proof of death, and you get 100 gold for that one.
Yeah. Okay. Proof of death. So I just take their heads, I assume.
That or something of theirs.
I mean, you have to.
No,
be
that's
certain, right?
it. That's what you went to. Just like, yeah. So I'll take the heads then. Like, I'll take a picture or a thumb or a witness.
It's like anything that the person who posted the contract can identify as theirs, which in this case will be probably quite easy because looks like it's one of his relatives that's put this up.
Right. That's good. That's good. I can probably just take half of the face then, or something. I don't need to take the whole head. just an eye or something. Something small. Or maybe the teeth. Would they recognize him by the teeth?
Potentially not. They'll want something probably more identifiable than that.
Is the nose recognized?
Fuck it. Let's just go for the head. I think you're right. I think we misjudged you.
Yeah, I think the head is probably the easiest.
She smiles. I
Right.
like your style. And with that, you get nail on the house. And with that, she wanders off up to the bar and indicates on her way to the barman up there that she's coming to collect nail.
Ooh. Ooh. I'm excited about drinking before the job. That will help.
And it's roughly at this time that Tarin approaches the tavern from the outside.
It will go a bit more differently. I assume.
What was that? Sorry, was that me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Oh crap. I'm facing that orc, aren't I?
So you've walked around the corner and found the tavern, and yes, you've come across an orc that is at least another 3 feet taller than you are.
Right. Okay. Just gonna slightly kind of hesitantly shuffle towards said orc, clear her throat and go, is this the shattered hand?
The orc leans forward so that his nose is roughly on level with your eyes.
Yep.
And snorts and goes, and what would someone like you be wanting with the shattered hand?
Well, a crewmate of mine has I think he's here. He might not be here yet. But he's kind of short. You are a dwarf, right, Mug?
Yes.
Okay, double checking. Just double checking. He's a dwarf. He's quite strong.
The orc looks at you incredulously and goes, "You're with the flippin' dwarf?"
So he's here. He's here.
He's just sort of trying to put 2 and 2 together as to why a very dangerous-looking dwarf is walking around with effectively the
wet.
most... Yep.
That's just a very wet-looking teenage boy.
Yep. He shakes his head and goes, "I'll wait here." And then he goes and walks straight into the tavern.
Tarin's just gonna do that thing where he stands there, like kicking the floor with one foot whilst looking around him with his hands behind his back, like quietly whistling or singing to himself.
So, a few minutes later, the orc comes back out with a young barmaid who smiles charmingly at you and goes, "Follow me. I'll take you to your friend."
Oh.
Tarin follows along happily.
She leads you through the crowd and takes you up past the bar and stops just in front of the door and turns to face you and goes, "All I can say is, don't say anything to anyone outside of this place about what goes on behind this door."
Oh yeah, sure. Sure, yeah, sure.
And then she turns around, opens the door, and leads you through. You walk into a large room filled with tables and the most rough-looking and scurvy sailors, the most dangerous-looking fighters you have seen in your life.
Okay.
Sitting at a table, oblivious to all around them, is a certain mug, staring at a picture.
Tarin's going to sort of, as fast as he can, but trying to be as inconspicuous as he can, just like hesitantly run to Mug and try and sit down as close as possible to him, hoping for some sort of protection.
There is quite a few people that watch this, but there is not a word spoken.
So Mug just looks at Tarin and goes, "Who are you?"
Oh god.
Not very good memory.
Tarin has a sort of bewildered, terrified look on his face. Goes, I'm Tarin. You know me. We're on the Cirrus together. I cook the food.
The what?
The big ship We were in
Oh,
several
right,
fights.
Yes, I am on a ship now. Not
Yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
I'm from the ship.
Oh, okay.
I
Are
cooked
you
the
the one
food.
employing me?
What was that? Sorry.
You're not the one employing me. You look a bit young for that.
No. No. I kind of help fight ish. Kind of.
You do? Sure. Right. Okay. You can help me now as well. Yeah.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. What do I need to do?
Can you read this and give him the best?
I can read. Yes. What language is it in? Can I actually read it or not?
Yep. You can read it.
I can read it. Okay, I'll read it out. Do I read it out loud? I'll read it out loud, but under my breath, so only Mug can hear. Or try maybe he's surreptitiously trying to be under breath, but actually being quite loud. That way, thinking that being really surreptitious, but really not being.
So it's
yeah.
it's a large portrait of a bearded young man. His beard's in braids, and it's got his name above him, and it says Silas the Bastard. Underneath it says, wanted proof of death, 100 gold pieces for any identifying item or proof that Silas has met his end, to be returned to the embassy of House Begatel.
Okie
Hmm.
dokie. Tarin's gonna sit and consider for a while, see if he can think of where we might start. But then he's just gonna look at Mug hopelessly and be like, "What do we do?"
Well, first of all, I finished my ale.
Okay. What then?
You see a small note at the bottom that says last seen in Freeport.
In where?
In Freeport.
Oh, okay.
The one we
Tarin's
have been-
gonna. Yeah, that port we all met in at the first
Right.
episode. Tarin's gonna point it out to Mug and tell him what it says, and then is going to mentally try and remember what he can of what he saw of the ships and who was being put onto which ship, and see if he can remember anyone that matches that description. I'm assuming the answer is no. I'm fairly certain I know who it is, but I'm fairly certain Tarin doesn't.
From what you can tell, no, you haven't seen anyone specifically matching the description. This is a very... It looks like it's been taken from like a family portrait or something like that. So you can tell that there's been artistic license.
Yeah.
As usual.
The other thing is that there is no color to it either. So all you can tell is that they were bearded, that they had strong features, that if you got a good look at their face, you could probably identify them.
Yeah. Okay.
Was there multiple ships leaving Freeport, or was it just ours?
Yeah.
So there was multiple ships that left Freeport, and you were aware that you were the last one to arrive.
Okay. Right. Did I see anyone looking like this guy at Freeport or during the journey?
The other thing you can notice is that they have a braided mohawk, and there appears to be something on the side of their scalp. So potentially artwork.
Okay. Well, conclusion obviously is that said person in the photograph will have arrived at Port Marli, so we know who must.
Poster, not a photograph.
Well, you know what I mean, poster. So Tarin's going to conclude that they surely must be here if they were last seen in Freeport, so they're either in Port Marli or dead.
Oh.
So he's going to suggest to Mug that we go round all the ships that we know came from Freeport, see if anybody recognises him.
That's a good idea. So are we just going to show this to everyone?
Yeah. If we can take it with us. Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay.
Tarin, do we have to wait till you finish your ale yet, or can we go now?
No, I finished the ale first. We start the work afterwards.
Oh, okay. Tarin's just
You can have a drink as well if you want.
The barmaid waltzes over and plonks a drink in front of you, Tarin.
Thank you. I think. Thanks. It's gonna take one sip, make a huge grimace with his face, and just kind of put it back down and like sit there again, kind of withdrawing into himself a bit and looking sheepishly around.
Are you not going to drink that?
No.
Why not? It's not poisoned, is it?
I don't think so. Not. I think I maybe I should keep sober. Yeah, I'm going to keep sober to find this man. That's what I'm doing.
I will drink it for you then.
Oh, yes,
Mug starts drinking it.
Go ahead, please.
So he drinks both of the ales.
I'll leave the two of you there for a minute while you're finishing the
cool.
drinks.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And Edric and Wisp and Bingo, what have you guys been up to?
I went to the market to look for coffee beans.
I'm onto the market as well.
So am I.
Right.
That's right. Follow the coolest member of the party. Not a problem.
So Bingo has started strutting down the street towards the markets.
No, Bingo does not strut. Bingo with his mask pulled down and his hood up, he is walking very quietly, drawing no attention to himself whatsoever.
Edric has his scarf up, goggles down, and his hood up, almost up to his goggles, like his usual outfit.
See? We blend right in. No one will notice us at all.
Yep.
You didn't see anything.
So you make your way through to the markets. It's pretty easy to find your way there because most of the goods that are being unloaded from the ships are heading directly to it. So there is a steady stream of goods heading that way and a steady stream of them coming back. As you make your way through the streets, you step into a massive square that is filled with stands and stalls and shops of nearly every kind.
Oh.
There are everything from hustlers standing on corners trying to sell goods out of like small carts, all the way up to massive shop fronts.
I will go for no one who looks like they're from an official shop. I will start with the people who look slightly more dodgy.
For me?
You find a area of the market that has shops that have goods that look legitimate but don't look like they're actually moving anywhere. No one's going up and buying anything from the store, but there are people approaching them and leaving. Usually,
Can I watch someone as they approach and leave, and just try and get an idea of what they're doing?
You see a sailor approach one of these stalls, and he leans on over, completely ignoring the goods that are set up there, which appear to be bottles of sand, if anything else. He talks for a short while quietly to the shopkeeper, and then puts a leather pouch of cash onto the table and pushes it over to the shopkeep, who nods, indicates to what looks like to be a young boy standing behind the stall, who runs off into the crowd and then nods to the sailor, who grins and then just walks off, taking nothing with him.
Oh, intrigue. Can I see where the boy went?
Roll a perception. Seeing if you got it.
I don't. Right, remind me how I'm doing this again. Is it 3d6?
3d6 plus your perception bonus.
So small. Okay. 9.
You lost sight of the boy as soon as he hit the first crowd of people. So you're not entirely certain where he went.
Okay. I have hung out with criminals in the past a lot. I would know how to speak to them.
You recognize this tactic somewhat. It's fairly common for dealers to not actually have the goods anywhere on them, and potentially the boy is running off to another person to indicate where a delivery is to be made to. So you're fairly certain that if you wait long enough, that boy will come running back, or another runner will appear and take their place.
Okay, I'm going to wait before I go shopping because I'm intrigued.
You wait a bit, and about 5 minutes later, another boy, not the one that ran off, appears and runs up to the store and then sort of plonks himself down, holding a handout, and a coin exchanges hands as the shopkeep just sort of, without even really looking, pulls out a copper piece and drops it in the lad's hand, and he quickly shoves it into a pocket.
Oh, intrigue. I wonder what they're selling. I'm going to go find out. I will tell my... Is there 2 people who are in the market with me? Is there 2 of you? Okay. I will give a very, very subtle nudge and explain what I've seen, and that I'm going to go and find out if they're selling anything cool.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Now, if I get arrested, remember, you don't need to rescue me. You need to rescue my toolkit, make something explode, and I will get myself out.
That is really good to know.
Mm-hmm. I'll be right back.
Okay.
And he's gonna quietly walk up to the chap on the stall, and in the manner he would know how to speak to him, having dealt with criminals before, he will probably go on his tiptoes to lean onto the stall because he's rather little.
The shopkeep sort of glances at you quickly, and based on your height, initially mistakes you for being a child and goes, "We've already got enough kids for the run."
Do I try and become a runner? No, that would be far too much side quest. No. I'm not for work. I am for purchase.
He glances down and then raises an eyebrow ever so slowly. And normally I recognize my customers, but you are new.
I am new in town.
Interesting.
And have been without a lot of things of interest to me for a while. Before I make a request, what may you have to purchase?
He grins at you and goes, "You in town? And which ship did you come in on?"
I'm going to say the Argonaut, and I don't know where we're staying as of yet. But if you have things of interest, I am happy to purchase and return for pickup at a later date.
He grins at you and goes, "Well, I'm not stupid enough to deliver to myself because," and he gestures up towards another end of the market, and you can see some patrols of guards walking around. The local constabulary does not like this kind of business. But if your money is good, I can get you anything you would desire. And if you have something you would like to sell that may not be the most legitimately obtained, I can purchase it from you.
Oh. I am sadly unable to sell at the moment, but I will think on that. I am looking for very special blends of, for the sake of law enforcement being nearby, I shall say coffee beans. That may induce a little excitement into life, and those would be for myself. And if you have any that could be more deadly, that might also be appreciated.
Coffee beans, is it? So you require the kind that give you a bit more bang for your buck.
Yes, in the recreational sense and in the murdering sense.
Excellent. Now that can be arranged, although they don't come cheap.
How much are we talking? Awkwardly fiddles with very light pocket. Oh no, wait! I did stuff my pockets with some silver.
You did indeed.
I did. Okay.
If you took notes of how much that was.
I think I did. Hang on, I'll go back on my other notebook. Did you take notes as well, in case I'm wrong?
Frankly, off the top of my head, no, I didn't, but I can look it up later.
Okay. I think it was anywhere between 20 to 50 silver. It's in my other book, but as an estimate.
Oh, good. You also had your hands up to like your elbows in the silver, so whatever the difference is, you could have filched and not returned.
Maybe.
I keep missing the equipment. Where is the equipment? There. So he smiles and goes, well, I've got access to a very fiery kind of bead. I've got one that will send chills down your spine, and one that will melt your socks right off.
Are all three non-lethal?
Oof. They're all gonna pack a wallop, I'll tell you that. But the if you want to try and keep someone from getting away, I recommend going for the one that sends chills down your spine. Getting hit by one of those, they're not going to be running very fast.
Alrighty. I would I would like both recreational and paralyzing. I may go for all of those. That sounds quite interesting. I like a pick and mix selection.
Rightio, so the fiery and the chilling, they're about 18 silver each. 24 for the one that'll melt your socks off.
And how many would I need to make a decent brew? Just one of each?
One of each will, let's just say, have a decent impact on the people of your choice.
Oh.
But they are one-trick ponies, so you'll only get one of each.
Yep, I will go for one of each.
Rightio. You see him think for a minute, and then he pulls out a pen and paper, takes a couple of notes and hands it to the kid, and holds a hand up to stop the boy from running off, and then turns to you and goes, and that'll be 60 silver.
Takes out everything from both pockets. I believe I've got 61 plus the stuff I had already, so I've got 61. Pours into his hand.
He watches you just reach into pockets and socks and just all over and pull all this silver out, and the smile on his face just goes wider. He takes your silver and puts it in a lockbox under the counter, and then gives you a wink, and it's a pleasure doing business with you. And he claps the boy in the shoulder.
I won't ask where you get the beans if you don't ask where I got the silver.
He chuckles. That's the motto we work by here. I'll have these delivered to the Argonaut, shall I? Or is there another location you'd like?
Do I know where the Argonaut is? Harvard.
It is right in front of the Cirrus.
Okay, that's fine. I just don't want to tell them, like, never tell the drug dealers where you live, man. That's a big mistake. Yes, that will be fine. Any particular time I should
They'll be delivered just before first light tomorrow morning.
First light, Argonaut. Okay, he will remember to do that. Do you have a name I may know you as?
He winks at you and goes, I don't give out my normal name, but anyone around here knows me by Shilling.
Shilling. Yep. I too have a greatness about my name. I will go on absolute tiptoes and reach a hand over to shake his hand.
He grins, shakes your hand, and goes, and that's a deal. And with that, the boy runs off with the note into the crowd.
He would wink back, but you can't really tell under the mask, so he will gets down, put his pockets back the outside in, and I will go back and have a look for Edric and everybody.
So Edric and Whisp, were you hanging around and watching that, or wandering off into the markets yourselves?
I've been trying to find a second-hand clock.
You wander around for a bit. You eventually find a shop that has all sorts of mechanical bits and pieces, from jewelry sets with little dancers that spin on it to clocks that have mechanical parts that have, say, cuckoo birds launch out.
Is there anything that has like a quite thick wooden base?
You see a old, somewhat worn clock that looks like it's been quite sturdily made. Good materials went into it. And by the looks of it, it is still ticking along as if it was almost new. You don't seem to see anything that would indicate that it is damaged in any way.
How much for that one?
The woman who is working in the shop pulls off these, like, semi-mechanical goggles and glances over at you and then looks across at the clock, and then she smiles and goes, "Ah, that one. That one was quite a little restoration project of mine." But I could part for that one with, you know what? I'll give it to you for 7 silver.
I can offer 5.
She looks at you and then looks back at the clock and goes, 5. I put more effort into that than that. I'll give it to you for 6.
Deal. But you'll have to include, is there like a steel pipe laying around somewhere? Just a bland steel pipe. Or a set of glasses. Simple glasses.
She looks around the shop a bit and goes, I could probably find something. And then she heads around to the back of the stall, and you hear the sounds of her rummaging for something. And she comes out with a small metal pipe and holds it up. Something like this?
That, Glenn, just a quick out-of-character question. Is that pipe big enough?
Yeah, that'll do.
Okay. I'll take that one then, and then it's 6, right?
Yep, 6 silver.
Awesome. Here you go.
She hands you
have...
she hands you the pipe and looks across at the clock and goes, "Do you want that wrapped up or anything? I presume it's possibly a gift."
No, it doesn't need to be wrapped up yet.
No, it's a problem.
I'd like to add a little personalization to it before I give it away.
She smiles at that.
Sorry.
So I take the stuff from her, and before I leave, do you know a place that might sell some cheap glasses?
Glasses? Not this end of the market, but if you look, it's up towards the price you're in. There's a glass blowers. They tend to do commissions for the richer people in town. But
Okay.
they might be able to, if they can't make what you're after, they can at least point you towards someone who can either sell it to you or find it for you.
Okay, in that case, I'm gonna have to have a talk there, I guess. Thank you for your time and for the nice clock.
She smiles and goes, "Always a pleasure doing business."
Have a nice day. And I turn back to try and find Whisp and the little one.
Is that me? Am I little one?
Yep.
You guys? Just because I'm 3'7".
Wisp, are you looking for anything in particular?
I am. I want to find a stall that sells fabric.
You walk around for a bit, and you find eventually the section of the market that has everything from rugs and furs all the way down to silks and fabrics.
Like, large enough to go around the neck of a kitten and potentially a cat to make like a big bandana kind of collar to get Mercy later on.
Bear with me. I think the server just cracked it, so I am going to quickly...
I jumped us.
Thank you. You beat me to it.
Did you hear any?
I heard Autobots.
Oh, hang on.
I heard I want to buy a soul.
Oh, hello?
Are
Alright.
we back now?
Yeah, we're back now.
Nice.
I want to look for like a small bit of square fabric to buy as a gift for Merrisea's kitty to use as like a bandana collar.
Okay, that's cool.
Oh, right. The server's cracking it yet again.
Oh, you're still a robot.
Jeez.
Alright. Trust Discord. Radio. So, you find an area of the market that is filled with rugs and furs, everything from carpets all the way down to silks. There's all sorts of shopkeepers. There's really, really loud ones that are doing their best to just scream at what their produce is, and a couple of them are just sitting on their produce bored out of their mind, waiting for the next merchantman to come and take everything. You eventually find a stall that contains fabrics of nearly all kinds, potentially owning what you're after.
Right.
As a bit of a difference, this one also seems to be cutting off pieces of fabric and selling them by the portion versus selling entire rolls that would potentially wrap the entire cirrus.
I'm gonna see if she has like a blue scrap, and I'm gonna ask her how much for fabric, please.
The shopkeep looks over and sizes up the piece that you're holding out and goes, "For that? I'll sell you that one for 50 coppers.
Ooh, lovely. Do you know where I can find first aid stuff?
First aid? You might need to do a couple of stores for that. But if you're looking for medical herbs and ointments and the like, there's an alchemist that's probably about 100 meters down the stalls that way, and she just is further down the market. I can provide you cloth here for bandages and the like, and for that kind of material, I'd sell you 10 coppers will get you a meter.
Give me 3.
Easy done. And she gestures off to one of her assistants, who wanders off to start cutting and sizing that. If you're looking for anything specific like medical tools and the like, they're a bit harder to come by. They tend to be more specialist made, and this market is wholesale mainly. But potentially there's a smithy that works on commissions, gestures up towards another part of the market that looks like it's got more expensive shops and stalls. A couple of stores have things like large statues and fountains and the like, so you presume it's for the more wealthy end of town. There's potentially someone up there that can either, if they can't sell it to you on the spot, they can potentially make it for you.
Right. Thank you.
My
Gets
pleasure.
down. So, an alchemist or herbalist?
A bit of both. You won't be able to miss them. They're a gnome, they constantly smell like they're on fire.
Ah. I know someone who's a bit like that.
She looks across at you. Raises an eyebrow. They're not near my shop, are they?
Oh.
I have lots of flammable produce, and the last time he was here, I frickin' lost nearly half of it.
No. What happened?
One of his creations fell on one of my rugs. Apparently it was quite flammable.
I'm sorry to hear that. This person isn't anywhere near here, I promise.
Glad to hear it. So, that will be that scrap of cloth and the 3 meters of bandages, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So, that will be, I believe, off the top of my head, 1 silver, 50 copper, plus 10 for that, 160 copper, or 1 silver and 60 if you got it.
I have 2 silver, so she can give me change back, yeah?
She winks at you and goes, yeah, you'll get change here. I'm not like the ones up the other end of town. She pulls out 40 copper, bites one to prove that it's an actual coin, and hands it on all over.
You would be surprised.
She smiles. In this town? Hardly.
Have a good day now. Thank you so much.
Pleasure doing business, love. And she goes back to
We're also
work.
friendly when buying stuff.
Yous might not be, but I have standards, okay?
I don't. I have survival instinct, and that's about it. Oh,
There's
and
gonna be a
guns.
survival instinct.
I'm presuming you all meet up roughly at the same time, realizing that you're heading in similar directions.
Glenn, one quick question.
Yep.
Do we pass the glasses stall on the way towards the embassy?
Actually, I believe the embassy is on the complete other end of town. Yep.
Yes.
Because you're at number 6 and the embassy is at number 4. Sorry. You are not at number 6, you are at number 2.
Map. I'm at 2. So yeah, we passed the Cirrus and like part of the market, heading towards 6.
So
Oh wait, we were at 6. We are headed to 4.
you're at number 2, which is that entire district there is actually the market. You would have to go past the Cirrus and all the way back around to where the embassy is. So effectively leaving the market to go there.
Okay.
However, you are heading towards the more wealthy end of the market and also the wealthy end of town, which is actually heading up further away from that again. It's heading towards the point number 3 on the map.
In which case, before we get to the high up end, Bingo's looking for the best way I can describe it is people who can send messages. I mean, it doesn't have to be completely dodgy, but he doesn't want to have to do it officially and have to give his name and all that stuff.
You see that there's official, like, couriers and town criers kind of deals going on, but there is also a lot of young children, boys and girls, running around, and they look like they are doing tasks around the market for cash. Some of them are helping out shopkeepers, but others are sort of approaching stall after stall, looking for anyone that will give them a copper here and there.
I don't think they'll be able to take a message, because my message is to go all the way back to where we started. So I don't think that will be possible. Unless there's anyone magically who can send messages.
You don't see anyone that would stand out of that kind of business. Most of the people around you are tradesmen, craftsmen, or merchants.
In which case, he's just going to go and buy himself a very fancy pair of socks.
That you can do.
Yay.
Just double checking how much that will cost you.
Please, dear God, maybe in gold or copper, as I have no silver.
So, socks.
I'm talking like the most outrageous, garish socks ever, because they will be hidden under my boots and my coat and everything. But he would like some very loud and obnoxious socks.
So you do find a clothing store, and they sell everything from like your more common workers' clothing up to more fancy stuff. It appears that they tend to sell wholesale. They have got clothing by the absolute bundle. You could probably climb up on a nearby building and jump into these piles if you felt like it.
Oh, that would be so cool. But if I sit in it, I probably have to buy it, so I probably can't afford that.
You do find robes and more fancy clothes up towards one end, including some of the most brightly multicolored long socks that you have seen in your life, in patterns that if you grabbed one sock from one and one from another would definitely not match.
Oh yes, please, I don't want matching socks.
You're certain that they would go up and well and truly over your knees.
Yeah.
Potentially because they're designed for humans and not so much your kind, but...
I'm little. Cool. I'll pick out a couple of pairs that I can mix and match and hold them up.
One of the shop workers spots you working your way through the socks and sort of shouts over from where they're piling bits and pieces together. They're, those ones? 20 copper per pair.
How many copper are in one gold?
Oh, boy.
He says to the shopkeeper.
1,000, I believe.
1,000.
Right, Glenn? It's 100 coppers is 1 silver, right?
Yep. But it's
Yeah,
only... then 10 silver per gold.
Yeah, so that's 1,000 coppers total, which means that for 1 gold you could get 50 pairs of socks.
I think I want 50 pairs of socks. Could I? And you hold out a gold. Can I have 49 pairs and a large bag?
The shopkeep's eyes widen, and he rushes over and snatches the gold coin before his assistant can touch it and goes, I'll put the bag in for free.
Oh, so I can have 50 pairs?
You can have 50 pairs. The bag is for free, and your choice of hat. And
And a hat! What kind of hats have they got? I'm too excited.
they have everything from floppy, baggy hats up to these very, very garish top hats with feathers.
Okay, what would go best with the mask I never take off? Do they have, like, deer stalkers with the ear flaps?
Yep.
Do they have one with a feather in it? If not, I will put a feather in it.
The shopkeep sort of looks around the hats, finds the deer stalker. It doesn't have a feather on it, but seeing you gazing at the feathered hats, he reaches over and pulls out the biggest peacock feather you've seen in your life and threads it onto it.
Yay! Okay, so I don't need my hood anymore. So I'll pull the hood down like, my long ears flapping, and I'll put the deer stalker on quickly before he can see the big flappy ears. This is the best day of my life! And I will pick out 50 pairs of absolutely horrendous socks, none of which match.
The shop assistant holds out a cloth bag to allow you to toss the socks in, pair at a time.
It's actually like a student's laundry bag, right?
Pretty much, yeah. By the time you're done, the bag is almost as big as you are.
Worth it! Awesome. And with that, I'm going to like the tiniest Father Christmas ever. I thank you, and I bid you good day. Heave!
The shopkeep just smiles and goes, "It was an absolute pleasure having you here, my lord."
My lord.
And he puts the gold away.
Bingo is now my lord.
Let me get this straight. I got 50 pairs of socks, a free bag, a free hat, a feather, and a title. He'll heave the bag of socks over to Edric and be like, "Up! I'm a lord now."
Oh, okay. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you want me to carry that for you, my lord?
Humble servant, but I shall carry it myself, thank you.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm fine. I can manage.
Glenn, can I step on the corner?
You can.
I'll suddenly step on the corner.
Fiddlesticks! It suddenly got very heavy.
And then as he's trying to push or pull the bag, I'm gonna let go of the corner.
Oh, my socks!
Don't drop him.
I'll just make sure no socks fell out of the bag, and I'll lean against it. Oh, I know. And I'll reach into my hip flask of totally non-adult beverages, and I will drink some now cold coffee. Energy! So, where are we going now?
Well, I'm gonna buy some glasses for over your eyes, and then I'm gonna drop my clock off in the armory at the Cirrus, and then I have something else to do.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Well, I was going to ask if anyone wanted to escort me.
Yes!
Okay. Anyone else?
The herbalist?
Yeah, we're definitely gonna stop there for you.
Are we still in the shattered arm, or have we left Glen yet?
Currently, you guys are still in the Shattered Arm finishing your drinks.
This long?
But basically, this is all going concurrently.
Okay.
So, you guys finding the Shattered Arm and everything that went on there took just as long as for these guys to find the market.
Okay.
And shop.
So we drink slowly. We are real men. We drink very slowly.
Well, also, would Mug leave a place that's giving free beer?
Oh, so he keeps drinking. Okay.
Let's just say that every
Tarin,
time...
at this point, is asleep on the table. Like head down, like full on snoring into his arms.
I'll leave you guys at the market finding the alchemist and actually cut back to Tarin and Mug at the Shattered Arm. There is now quite a few empty cups in front of Mug, and he's snoring Tarin.
You mean empty mugs? There's quite a few empty mugs, right?
In what? In front
Yep.
of Mug, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mugs,
Okay.
mugs.
Okay. Right. I think we are ready now to go. Put
Tarin's
down the
just gonna
last mug.
Tarin's just still going to be asleep, so and going to be quite difficult to wake.
Oh, so Mug is going to like put down the last mug right next to Tarin's head.
Tarin's going to squeal as he wakes up, like that, and then sheepishly look around like, and then be like, sorry, what did you say?
That we were ready. I was not quite expecting that pig sound.
Sorry, you startled me.
Oh well. At least I hope that you are ready to do this job.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Let's get going
so-
then.
To the ships.
Ships.
Mhm.
You mean the ships, right? We are going to ships.
That's what I said. To the ships.
Listen. Hips.
Oh, did I meant ships.
Good. So, yeah, that wasn't wrong. Good. Okay,
Sorry.
let's go then. Let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go and ask around. We can take this poster with us to show people, right? I asked from.
The barmaid sort of looks over, nods and goes, "It's all yours. Just
Excellent.
provide it to the front bar with proof that the job's complete, and you will get your pay."
This place is the best place I've ever been to.
She smiles
Tarin's
and goes...
gonna make a face.
She smiles at Mike and goes, "We get that a lot." Looks across at Tarin, "And that too." And then turns and walks off to the bar.
Okay, two extreme reactions.
Yeah, rather. I'm assuming at this point we're just gonna leave,
Yeah.
barring any sort of hold up, and then head off to the ships. Ships. I'm just terrified that I'm saying it wrong.
That's fine. Okay. So we go to the first ship that we can find, and we ask if it's from Freeport, or right? That's how we are doing this.
Is there a dock master or somebody that we could, a harbour master of some sort that we can go and ask
What's that? That sounds fancy.
You remember that there was the official that first welcomed you to Port Marli and spoke to Bhajiri, and that there is people that were working for him, potentially as apprentices or hands. What you remember is that they had dark robes as their sort of official uniform that appeared to have a symbol on it that was potentially a indication of their role here in Port Marli.
Okie dokie. Tarin's going to, as they walk into the dock harbour, whatever it's called, going to just start like looks like he's shaking his head, but is just frantically looking around, trying to find somebody with those robes to get some information.
I'll get you to do a perception.
Sure.
And that will be seeing, so if you've got seeing, that will give you the bonus.
Yeah, I've got seeing. 6 plus 3 plus
I think
2.
Mug is just looking at Tarin and trying to figure out what the hell Tarin is trying to do.
6 plus 3 plus 2, which is, Christ, why can't I do maths today? 6 plus 5 is 11, plus my perception, which is 3, which is 14, plus 2 is 16.
You look around and very quickly see a couple of people in very similar robes rushing up to ships that, as they're arriving and sort of greeting captains, you see when they're returning from their task, they're actually heading towards a building that's at the edge of the jetties, potentially where they're headquartered.
Tarin's going to like tap Mug and be like, this way, and head towards said building.
But that's not a ship. Are you sure we need to go there?
I think we can find information there. It seems that the robed people they meet the ships, so they might know more.
Okay, so there are ships in there. Okay, let's go.
Sure.
You make your way along to the building, and as you approach, you see that there is a sign hanging at the front that says Harbour Master, and that there is a symbol above that, which is a anchor with 2 crossed quills above it. The building is a reasonable size, 2-story tall, broad windows. It is busy. There is lots of these robed young men and women sort of rushing in and out with clipboards and information. There is a desk just inside the doors where some of them are dropping those notes off and collecting new ones. There is an area off to the side where you can see quite a few of them resting, having drinks and meals.
Okay. Is there somebody manning the desk that they're dropping things off of? I can't speak today. Picking things up and dropping things off on, or is it just a random desk and there's nobody there?
There is a couple of people there, but they seem to be occupied largely with just sorting through the papers, putting them into pigeonholes, and
so it's not really a reception-y type desk.
No,
Okay, cool.
Almost like a mail room.
Oh right, okay. Tarin's going to sidle up to the closest robed figure who's sitting, relaxing, and drinking or eating, whatever he's doing or she's doing, and kind of try and get as close as she can before they notice, and then just go, excuse me.
One of the harbour officials sort of glances across at you, literally just turning their head with their sandwich still in their mouth. They just turn to face you. chewing a bit, they go, "Can I help?"
Yes, please. We sailed in on the Cirrus from Freeport. But we've lost one of our friends. And he was definitely at Freeport. But I was just hoping we could know which
Don't
ships
remember this.
came, so so
ships?
that we could find him.
Well, they were one of the refugees on one of the ships from Freeport, were they?
Yes, sure.
Well, I can't tell you which particular one they were on, but I could probably tell you the ships that arrived from Freeport.
Oh, that would be really, really helpful. Thank you.
Give me a few minutes. It looks between you and his sandwich, and then takes this massive bite, shoves it on his plate, and then heads up to basically the pigeonholes that all the pieces of paper and the folders are getting shoved in and out of.
Mm-hmm.
And he reaches into a couple, pulls out some of the papers, and putting them on the counter, starts reading through, taking a spare piece of paper and notes as he goes.
While he's away, Mug looks at Tarin and goes like, "I'm confused. Who is this friend of ours that we have lost?"
Tarin's gonna look very wide-eyed and terrified because again thinking he's being really surreptitious and really not being very surreptitious at all.
You're actually making me roll dice
Mug is
now.
just being confused.
To the best of your ability, you're pretty certain no one actually heard that.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
I'm impressed. Okay.
It's fairly loud, and there's people rushing in and out. It's even the people eating and drinking looking like they're on a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
He puts a couple of those notes away, grabs the piece of paper he has, and heads up to the other side of the counter and just takes a few notes from there as well. It looks like he's looking for a particular clipboard, but struggling.
Tarin's just going to do that thing where he kind of stands there, like kind of swaying on his feet, hesitantly looking around and waiting.
Mug is just still confused.
He comes back with his piece of paper, biting his lip a bit, and he hands it over and goes, "Well, these are the 5 ships that came from Freeport. I'd have put a 6 on there, but the Argonaut sounds like it actually captured a ship from the attackers on the way over, so I don't know if that one actually counts."
That was our ship. We were on the Argonaut, and then the other one attacked us, so we took it.
Oh,
So that's my ship.
that was
now.
you lot, was it? Good on you.
Well,
Nice.
Yeah, sure.
Nice to hear that someone was sticking it to those bastards. I had family over there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's fine. They made it out. They got out on the Wanderer. It was one of the first ships in the port. That's how we found out about the news.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Well, here's the list, and he hands you the list over. It's got 5 ships on it: the Greyhound, the Argonaut, the Hind, the Wanderer, and the Solidarity. You sort of scowls a little bit at it. Goes, well, those are the main ships. There were smaller yachts and other vessels. So if your friend was on any of those, unfortunately, there are so many, and most didn't even come near here. They would have not had the range to make it all the way to Port Marli.
Right. No, that's brilliant. Thank you. Are they easy to find?
Some of them have already left. As far as I know, the Greyhound loaded up with cargo and headed south.
Okay.
I think the Wanderer and the Hind are still in port, but the Solidarity, you may need to check. I think she's either due out tonight or tomorrow morning.
Oh, cool. We'll go there first then. Thank you. Do I? I don't know the protocol. Do I pay you?
He laughs at that and goes, "We get paid enough by the elders of Port Marli. It's our job to know everything about these ships coming in and out, and considering you were among the lot that stuck it to the Skyax school out there, I am more than happy to have been of service."
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's very much appreciated.
That's
And
quite
then-
nice.
Keep fighting the good fight. And with that, he wanders off back towards his sandwich.
Tarin's just gonna shout after him, "Enjoy your lunch!" and then turn around and walk out.
You hear a shout back, "Dinner!" You kind of get the feeling that they work around the clock.
Yeah.
So
Tarin's gonna.
are we going to go to the ships now?
Yeah, Tarin is gonna turn to Mug and say, so, the Solidarity, he said, was going this evening or tomorrow. Should we head there first?
If it's a ship, then let's go to the ship.
Yeah, it's a ship.
Okay, let's go there.
Okay, cool, sure. Right, how do we find it?
Well, we could walk around and see if any of the ships are called Solidarity.
Just as you're discussing this, one of the harbour officials walks out and overhears you and points down one of the docks and goes, "The Solidarity's tied up down that way. Ask around once you get there and someone will point you in the right direction."
Oh, thank you.
That was
thank you.
quick.
And then she runs off.
Right. I'm assuming we start heading that way then.
Yeah, let's go. Let's find it.
As you wander
Okay.
off, I'll take you across to the market where Whisp and Edric and Bingo were on their way to a certain alchemist.
Hey! Oh, it's okay. He's had coffee now, it's fine. I take it all back. I was overreacting. He's fine.
As you walk further down into the what appears to be the more wealthy end of the market, you start to pick up whiffs of what look like love the picture. Combination of like burning and corrosive smells.
That must be it.
And you turn a corner up a different aisle just in time to see a gnome come bursting out the front of his shop, followed by a giant cloud of smoke before rushing back in. No one
like him already!
No one else in the market reacts. This appears to be a very, very normal occurrence. The stall directly opposite the door is completely abandoned, which you have not seen in any of the areas of this market. Every square inch of space has been taken up, but it seems like this one's been left sort of empty on purpose, as if to just leave room for backblasts.
I am dragging the socks as fast as I can, and I am going straight in there.
As you approach,
I've been distracted, I'm sorry!
you approach the door just in time for the gnome to come rushing out again, and another giant cloud of now purple smoke comes flying out.
Hello!
Hello, busy. Come in, you're welcome. And then
What
dashes
you doing?
back
What
aside.
you doing? Drag socks, drag socks, drag socks.
Oh my god, they're both on coffee.
As you enter the shop, you see that there is a whole bunch of alchemy equipment up, set up on a rather large and long table that has what looks like almost a giant platform sort of built around it that has steps leading up to it, which the gnome rushes up, and then he runs around the table on this platform, sort of picking up little droppers and adding chemicals and ingredients to a whole bunch of this equipment. Around the walls of the shop, a whole bunch of drawers and glass containers and bottles filled with herbs and ingredients and liquids, and some of it bubbles.
I'm home.
The gnome doesn't look up and goes, "Hi, home.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. What can I say, yeah?"
What are you doing? And what's your name? Hi, I'm Bingo, and I love everything about this place.
The gnome sort of looks over at you and sort of tips his glasses a little bit, tips them back up a bit more. Name's Kin.
The name's Kid.
Kin.
Okay.
Kitten.
Name's Ken. We're making it cuter by the second. Hi, Ken. What are you making?
I'm making a potion that, if it works, will make me very, very rich.
What's it gonna do?
It will make clothing change colour.
Ah. Awesome. What else have you got? The more experimental, the better. And can I buy it?
He keeps running around his experiment, and then he looks up. Everything for sale. What do you want?
What's the weirdest thing you got?
He puts a couple more drops of liquid in, runs out the back of the shop, and you hear clattering and thunks, and he eventually runs out with a very, very small box, pops it in front of you, and then runs back to his experiments.
I'm gonna look in the box. What's in the box?
Inside the box, you see a flower that appears to be made out of both metal and glass that is sort of wrapped around a bottle filled with a clear liquid.
And this is the weirdest thing you got.
Potion. Effects unknown. Experiments yield strange results.
Like what?
Each drop different effect.
Each drop. I'm running out of paper. Different effects. How much?
3 gold.
Okay. I'll give him 3 gold.
He rushes over, collects the 3 gold, and then rushes over to like a little till, pops it in, quickly scribbles up a receipt, rushes over, hands that to you, and then rushes back. He's running around this shop like a hamster on crack.
Do you need help?
He looks up and goes, under control.
Okay, because I work for free or very cheap, and I'm really getting quite good at this whole alchemy thing.
This delicate. Also, might want to leave store in 5. And he starts counting down from 5. He doesn't even wait. You hear 4 from near the door.
I'll run after him and get to the doorway and then go, my socks! And I'll run back in to go and pull the socks out.
Can I get you to roll a dex? Because you're going to hear a very rapid 3, 2, 1.
Thankfully, my dexterity is vaguely high. Okay. Come on, my 3 best dice. Don't fail me now. Oh, okay. 16.
Right. You come bolting out of the shop. Kind of looking like that. Carrying your sack. Behind you, there is rapid clouds of explosion, a little bit of heat. And you dive out with this giant pink billowing cloud behind you. Even as you pick yourself up, the gnome rushes back in and goes, pick is new.
Bingo's gonna sit there holding his box and his bag of socks on the ground, just like, I'm so happy. This is the best place ever. I never want to leave.
The gnome sticks his head out for a second and looks over Whisp and Edric. You buy anything?
Do you have any healing salve?
I'll get. He rushes back into the shop. Comes out.
Probably non-explosive. I yell after him.
To be specific, the kind that will work and not blow people up.
He rushes back out with a small wooden crate that's got some potions in it. And looks over and goes, 1 gold each. And then rushes back into the shop.
Expensive for my blood. Might try that herbalist.
He runs back out and goes, also herbalist.
It was alchemist / herbalist. I thought it was 2 different jobs she was talking about.
We prefer to go by experimentalist.
He takes the potions back inside, rushes back out, and puts a large box down on the doorstep, sort of off to the side so that there's free room for him to bolt back out. And opening each of the lids has different types of herbs. You recognize some of them as healing ones that could, with a little bit of time, be turned into potentially 1 or 2 healing potions.
What? I've been spoken to.
Oop. I don't know if that heard me. Yeah, you see herbs in the containers that you could potentially, with a bit of time and work, turn into 1 or 2 healing potions.
Such as...
So there's a couple of rare magical ingredients. There is a couple of more basic herbs and salves that could be used. You would estimate that there'd be probably, if you spent 20 30 silver, you could make over the next day or two at least 2 to 3 healing potions.
What can I get for 10 silver?
For 10 silver, you'd get enough for at least 1 healing potion.
That. Ken?
He sticks his head out. Yes?
Please.
So I didn't hear that.
I get these ingredients, please.
Sure thing. He picks it up, he rushes in, comes out, and it's all bagged and wrapped with a ribbon. And he holds his hand out.
Adorable. Thank you.
He counts and pockets the change and darts back inside. Half a second later, he is throwing himself back out of the shop, and green smoke comes billowing out.
Oh.
He winks at you. Almost done, and he runs back inside.
I so want to come back and check on him later.
Are you getting anything here, Edric?
What was that?
You gonna get anything here? Are you after anything here?
No, I reckon he doesn't have any glasses or.
Well,
Maybe
it's also a good time
magnifying
to
glasses.
get like healing stuff and all that. I mean, you are the gunnery chief. I imagine you getting injured would be quite often.
That is a good point. I had not thought about that. 10 silver it was for what you bought.
Within half a second, Kin's back out, and he's got another wrapped up bag, holding his hand out.
Awesome. I'll throw him 10 silvers. Well, not literally throw, but you know what I mean.
He looks at it, counts it, and bolts back inside.
Awesome.
Really fast service. 5 out of 5 stars.
Yep.
He sticks his head out for a second just to bow, and then runs back in.
And awesome light show.
You should consider a career in fireworks.
Kin comes running out, and gold smoke comes flying out this time. And as he picks himself up, goes, "My apprenticeship," and then he runs in.
He said what?
My apprenticeship. As in that he started off making fireworks.
He was offering me a job. guys, I want to do something, and I think you might be able to help because I have never bought or worn armor before. Do you guys know what the stuff you put on people's elbows to pad them against falling down is called?
Silence.
A sort of pad you can wear on your elbow.
Is that an
Like a-
elbow pad?
Oh, yes! You're a genius. Where might I purchase some gnome-sized ones of those? Because he's going to hurt himself.
At the market, I guess.
Oh, we'll do them somewhere.
Did we pass any sort of armory or blacksmith or horse?
You haven't passed anyone selling
Okay,
armor, weapons, or equipment yet, but
I will
Edric had
look for
been
those as we go.
Edric had been pointed out in a direction that was near.
Cool.
Oh yeah, when I wanted to go, there was a stall that sold armor stuff as well, right?
Yep. So you will head off in that direction. And Tarin and Mug, you've wandered off down the docks and are now standing in front of a rather large trade cog that has a pair of giant balloons, one at the front and one at the aft. It doesn't look like the fastest vessel in the world, but it is big. Its gangway is still currently down.
Sorry, was that me and Mug?
That is you and Mug, yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Just checking.
Okay.
There's a couple of sailors sort of lounging around at the bottom of the gangway.
Tarin's going to saunter over to the sailors lounging, and ask if this is in fact the Solidarity. Is that the right name?
Yep. The one closest to you glances over and goes, "Yeah, we're from the Solidarity. Who are you?"
Hello. Me and my crewmate here.
I'm a mug.
Sorry, me and Mug. We are looking for a man. He's got a beard and funny hair.
We're also looking for our friend that we lost in Freeport.
No, they're one and the same. They
were?
The man with the beard and the funny hair is our friend.
Really?
Yes. Tarin's going to turn around to Mug and try and silently signal that he needs to stop talking.
The sailors sort of glance between you and Mug, and
Mug gets out the poster and starts looking at it. Try to remember this friend.
the sailor sort of looks back at you, Tarin, and goes, "And what kind of game are you two up to? Never seen the two of you before, and I'm pretty certain if your friend was on the Solidarity, we'd know about it."
Well, actually, we came from Freeport too, but we were on the Argonaut and then the Cirrus once we took it. I think is taking it the right word? We fought them and then we just kind of took it.
One of the bigger sailors sort of looks at you up and down and then looks across at Mug and goes, "I couldn't imagine you taking a raft. That one, on the other hand." Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just us. Our other crew helped. Our captain did lots, and then our gunnery chief did lots too, and our other friends too.
Glenn, what was the name of this guy? The bastard guy, sorry.
The name was... Oh, sorry, I didn't drop that in the chat.
Shall I type it?
That's right, I can copy paste
I made a
it.
note of it.
That one.
Okay, we are looking for Silas Bagatil, the bastard. Yes, the bastard. We are looking for the bastard.
Tarin's just gonna look wide-eyed at Mug and be like, "Silas! His name is Silas!"
The crew sort of look at each other and then look across at the two of you and go, "Begatel, right? As in those nobles from frickin' Bacard. No, there's no one like that on this ship."
Oh, so you don't have any bastards on your ship?
The biggest sailor there just laughs and goes, "Plenty of bastards on this ship, but not that one."
Right, let's go to the next one then.
Tarin's just gonna shake his head and follow after Mug.
Mug is literally walking to the next ship. Like,
um, Mug, I'm not sure that the next ship we need to search is directly next to the ship we've just been to.
why wouldn't it be? They came from the same place.
Tarin, you just do a quick look around, and there is somewhere in the room of about 50 ships coming and going. Like, this is a very busy port.
Sorry.
Tarin looks around, and there is quite literally pretty much that. There is ships everywhere.
Okay, then how are we going to find another ship that's from Newport if we don't just go to the next ship? Right.
Tarin, you know the Greyhound's already left, and you already have been on the Argonaut. So you've got 2 more on your list. So you know that the Hind and the Wanderer are still somewhere in port.
Is Kate still there? I
Oh.
think... Okay.
I think she dropped.
Up. Okay. So that was a connection problem, it seems.
Potentially, we'll give it a minute.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, I'm going to guess that Tarin can work out.
Yeah. Let me check that message.
Oh, okay. Coming back? Maybe?
Potentially. Have we got a Tarin back?
Hopefully. No, not fully yet, it seems.
I might move server just to see if that helps.
Hello.
Yep, we're in Central.
Hello.
Europe now.
Yeah.
There
Yes,
we go.
hear you now.
Hello. I don't think it's an issue over there. I think it's like shockingly bad. I don't know what's going on there.
All good. So I basically was saying that you know the Greyhound has left. You know that you are relatively certain that this person wouldn't have been on the Argonaut, as you've met nearly all the crew. Then you have already checked the Solidarity, and you've got the Hind and the Wanderer left. Tarin, you're pretty certain that you could ask around port and find these 2 ships.
Hello. Sorry. Something is definitely going on with my internet.
Alright, let me...
Okay.
I think it's like my actual Wi-Fi though, rather than anything else.
Okay, I'll just
So I'm
jump
just
us
gonna
back to Western Europe. Hopefully that takes the load off a bit.
Possibly. I have no idea. I'm just not gonna. Last time I tried to put my Wi-Fi back on, it cut me out a second time. So I'm just staying with data for the moment.
All good.
Sorry, what was happening?
Right, so you know that the Greyhound has left the port. You arrived on the Argonaut, and you're fairly certain you've met everyone on that ship.
Yeah.
The Solidarity claims that there's no one from Picard on the ship, and Hind and the Wanderer, you're fairly certain you could speak to people around the port and find the locations of those ships.
Cool. In which case, I'm gonna say we ask somebody to help us find either the Hind or the Wanderer.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just ask the first person then. Let me see.
So, Mug, you're going to grab literally the first person that walks past?
Yes, yeah.
You,
It'd be like, where is the Hind or the Wanderer? One of them.
you grab a random sailor as he walks past, and he sort of looks at you very confused. And then sort of points at a ship and goes, "That one over there is the Hind."
Ah, thank you. That was very helpful.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
As you look over at it, you will see it's a much more sleeker vessel. This one looks actually like it's a warship.
Ooh.
Ooh. Tarin gestures to Mug. I'm assuming if you're happy, Mug, we head towards the Hind.
Yes. Let's go and ask them where the bastard is.
Mug, would you mind greatly if I did all the talking?
All of it?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess I am kind of tired.
Yeah.
I can show them the poster though.
Oh, could you fold it so that they can't see that it's a wanted poster? It might be best if
Why would we not want them to see all of it?
we're trying to pretend that we're looking for our friend.
Yeah. Yes, I'm still confused about that. Who
Yeah,
is our friend?
We don't. He's not our friend. I lied.
Oh, you lied.
I'm pretending that the man in the poster is our friend, so that people might tell us more.
Okay. I guess. I don't know. This sounds a little bit stupid. Why would this guy be friends with you?
What they?
Ouch.
That was harsh.
Both Tarin and myself are stumped on this one. They wouldn't need to know why.
I'm just saying it would be an odd friendship. I mean, look at this guy. Like, would you be friends with him?
I could be. Maybe we were childhood friends.
Isn't he like 2 times your age?
Maybe I sold him clothes. Tarin, by this point, is looking very flustered and desperately trying to think. You can almost see the cogs wearing as he's thinking so hard.
Huh. Right. I don't know. Why do you want to find him if he sold you clothes? No, if you sold him clothes. Did he not pay you? Does he owe you?
No. Maybe over the course of time, we became friends.
Over selling clothes.
He might be a frequent customer.
I'm not sure this is the person who is interested in clothes. I mean,
that was we can have a different story if you'd like. They don't really need the story. If we just tell them we're looking for a friend, they might help more. They're more likely to help, I think.
Yeah, but if you say we are looking for your friend, then you don't really look like you would be friends with him.
Maybe he was crew before Freeport was attacked. Does that work?
You're getting a couple of weird looks from people as they pass, just based on the discussion. Especially since, like, most of them are getting bits and pieces out of context.
Tarin, by this point, is literally almost red in the face because he's trying to convince Monk.
Okay, so we are looking for our former crewmate.
Yes.
But what if he has never worked on a ship before? That will sound suspicious.
Again, this is a case of both Tarin and Kate being stumped. Well, does it necessarily have to be a ship crew? It could be a gang type crew.
Oh, we were in the same gang.
Or a theatre type crew.
The same arena. We fought in the same arena.
Arena crew. That works. Sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I fought a lot in the different arenas. And most of them are back. Yeah. So we are looking for this guy that we fought with in the arena.
Yeah. Sure. We'll go with that. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds more believable now. That's better.
By this point, Tarin's literally just like going with whatever Monk says. It's like, yeah, sure. There's just no real heart to it anymore.
Okay, you do the talking. You know how to do this now.
Thanks. Sure. Tarin just hangs his head and starts walking towards the hind.
I kind of imagine that's Tarin right now.
It could very easily also apply to anything.
Yeah, that is definitely what Tarin is thinking.
So you approach the hind, you see well-armed soldiers standing at the end of the gangway. This is a much more disciplined ship. You can see crew still working on it. It looks like there are people doing repair work and sort of basic maintenance on the ship while it's in harbour.
Mm-hmm. Right.
As you approach, the soldiers at the end of the gangway actually sort of look you over.
Okay. Tarin's literally like shitting a brick right now. Has lost all confidence in his little lie since talking to Monk, and is now trying to work out how to convince these people that he's actually looking for a friend. So is going to kind of shuffle towards the soldiers. Excuse me. We are looking for a friend. Help. Sorry.
The soldiers sort of look at you, Tarin, look at each other, And then look across at Mug and go, what do you need?
We fought in the arena.
Tarin's just gonna turn around and be like, shh, and turn back round and be like, a friend.
They look at each other
Sorry.
and both look back towards you, Tarin, and go, you're looking for someone on this ship that's your friend.
Yes, sure, yes, that, yes.
It's also someone that we fought with in the arena in Newport.
Oh, shit. Tarin's just gonna, like, stand stock still and go, uh-huh.
You should forget
Eyes
that part.
super wide.
One of the sailors
It's
just
the
shakes
bastard.
his head and goes, look, kid, I don't know what scam or hustle you're trying to pull. But everyone knows that there was no arena at Freeport.
Not that you would know, because it was not public.
What he said, uh-huh. Uh-huh, sure.
It just means that you were not knowledgeable enough to know about it.
And you think that someone on this ship fought in this supposed arena in Freeport.
Okay, look, we're just looking for a bastard. Like,
Well, between you and me, dwarf, I think I'm looking at one.
Tarin's just going to turn around and be like, Mug.
no.
please?"
We have the
We had-
poster. We could show the. We could show the poster.
Tarin's just gonna look at Mug, look at the shoulders, look at Mug, look at the shoulders, look at the soldiers, look at Mug again, and then just step out of the way.
The soldier looks across at you, Mug, and goes, sure, we'll look at your poster. Why don't I go get the lieutenant?
Why do you? What's that? That sounds complicated.
Oh, it's pretty simple.
Mug, I think we should be leaving.
But we haven't asked them if they have. What's his name again?
Mug, I really think we should go.
Silas. Can you pronounce it?
It's
difficult
Silas,
to read.
Mug, but I think we need to go.
Silas. We are looking for Silas the bastard.
The two soldiers
Mug?
look at each other. And then one of them just sort of glances back up to the ship and goes, Lieutenant, can you send down a squad?
Tarin's gonna grab Mug's arm and pull with all his strength, which admittedly is not much, and try and pull Mug down the plank, or that away from the soldiers at least.
But it sounds like they might have him here.
I don't think that's what they're on about, Mug. I think we should go.
They could just tell us if they don't have him here.
The two soldiers sort of take their rifles off their shoulders and fan out away from the gangway. And if you look up, you see that there is now 5 soldiers with rifles on the edge of the ship, and an officer looking down at you.
Look, we just asked a question. Why do you need the guns?
Tarin's going to shush Mug once more turn round and give her his biggest puppy dog eyes and go, "We're so sorry. Really, really sorry. We're definitely going now. So sorry. Bye." And just like turn and try and shove Mug away as quickly as possible. All the while
Mug is
turning back
grumbling
round
about.
and going, sorry.
Mug is kind of grumbling and like, oh my god, I can't believe how horrible some people are. You can't even ask them a question. A simple question. And they won't even believe there was an arena.
Mug, there wasn't actually an arena. We made it up, but
That's not true. Don't lie about my arena.
no. We made it up.
No. You made up the friend part, but the arena was true.
No, both bits were made up, Mug.
No, there was definitely an arena in Newport. It was an illegal one. But
Okay. Sure.
at least I think it was in Freeport. Might have been somewhere else.
It's probably was somewhere else, but sure. I think we should really be going now as quickly as possible.
Okay. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah. When we get to this next one, can I please do all the talking again?
Fine. I'm feeling tired anyway. This is just complicated.
Sure. And then we need to find out where the Wanderer is the next one, isn't it?
Yep.
Can we just flag down the nearest person to us and ask where that is? I'm assuming, by the way, we're out of the soldiers' sight and are no longer being.
Yep.
Yeah.
The soldiers haven't the soldiers haven't gone too far from their ship.
Okay.
You give it a last glance as you sort of manage to sneak away, and it looks like there's a lot more soldiers on deck than there were before.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll basically try and find out where the Wanderer is by asking someone, because it's done us well so far. While trying to stay as out of sight of the Hind as we possibly can. Is that another gif? Hang a minute.
Yep. I will jump to the other part of the crew.
Yep.
In the meantime, while you ask around, but that was bleeding majestic. The shopping crew has been wandering around the wealthy end of the markets and has
Causing no trouble whatsoever.
Followed the sounds of metalwork and that, actually found themselves a blacksmith that seems to work in both weaponry and armor.
The glass blower is right next there, right?
Yep, the glass blower is right next door. They actually seem to be using the same heat source to heat both the metal as well as the glass. They've got a big double oven.
Nice.
It seems like they've done that for cost savings or some sort.
I'll quickly run to the glass blower.
You run into the store and a petrified assistant goes, "Careful of all the glass! The glass!"
Oh yeah, good point. And I'll instantly stop, completely freeze in place.
You look around you and there is shelves everywhere filled with more like bottles and intricately blown like glass flowers and cranes and all sorts of artwork, just some of it balancing precariously on these shelves.
Question: are there any glass sculptures or vases or anything that have a big enough surface that I could basically get the lenses that I need from them?
You look around and you don't see anything initially very useful for making lenses. It's all shaped and a lot of it's coloured. But I will get you to do a perception.
Awesome, my first round of the night. Is this with stun dice?
Yeah, with stunt dice and also seeing if you got it.
Oh. Let me see. So I add my perception, right?
Yep. And if you got seeing, you add +2.
I don't have seeing,
Oh, good.
but I did get 5 stunt points.
Awesome. Off the top of my head,
Now
you
to pull up
can
the
use
stunt
exploration
table.
ones typically.
Yep. I'd like to add efficient search.
Yep.
Oh wait, that's only for consumed these thingies. I'd like speedy search to make it last shorter.
Yep. You very, very quickly, nimbly work your way through the shop, especially since you know exactly what you're after. It only takes you a minute or two, and you find, funnily enough, a basically dish set. There's a whole bunch of plates and dishes that are perfectly crystal clear
Awesome.
with large flat surfaces.
Ma'am, I'm sort of terrified of walking here. Could you help me for a second?
The shop assistant sort of works their way through the shop and sort of stops right next to you and goes, "How can I help you?"
Well, how much would this set cost?
The whole set that would go for, and she stops and thinks for a little bit. What did they say that was supposed to sell for? Let me think. I believe it was meant to be 5 silver for each plate. And did you want the glasses to go with that?
Glenn, the glasses are what could make the lens, right?
The plates.
Oh, the plates.
The
No,
glasses were more cups.
awesome. In that case, I'm just gonna reply with no. I just need 2 plates.
She smiles and goes, "Not a problem, not a problem. That, I believe, will be 20 silver."
Could you do it 19? Please?
Roll a communication check.
Is that etiquette as well, or?
Actually, yes, you can use etiquette.
Nice. In that case, is math 19.
Right, yeah.
If I mathed it correctly.
She looks at you, looks around the shop, looks at the plates, and goes, "If you don't tell anyone, I'll give you the both for 10.
Deal. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. She holds her hands up, takes your cash, and very, very quickly picks up 2 plates and wraps them and hands them to you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yes. I'll carefully walk out and meet back up with like the people that are in the blacksmiths, feeling a slight bit of relief that I made it all the way back to the blacksmith where things are less breakable and would only stab you if they fall.
She's checking you out.
Do I notice that at all?
That's not just me making it up. The DM typed it in chat.
You can roll a perception if you want.
You know what? I'm curious now. No. On the bright side, I did get 1 stunt point.
Did you triple 1?
Nope,
Oh, good.
but it was hella close.
Yeah, you were so excited about your plates, you actually nearly run clean into someone. You drop it, juggle it, and manage to just grab it. So you have no idea what's happening on behind you.
Okay. Wait, did I bend over to like catch them and stuff?
Yep.
Such? Fan service. With that, I'll walk out, head towards the blacksmith, and like meet up and go, "Hi guys."
Hi.
Are the socks too heavy for you? I can still carry them for
No,
you.
I'm fine. Thank
you
you, humble
sure?
peasant.
Watch out who you call a humble peasant.
I'm fine. Thank you.
Good. With that, I'm gonna turn to like the other two, and I'll just go.
So if we ever need any money, we can send him in as a stripper man.
Wow.
Excellent.
This is multifunctional leather armor.
Rightio. Does anyone else in the market crew actually want to go to a shop, or are you planning to head elsewhere?
I'm going to see if this armor person sells anything that could be used as a gnome / child-sized elbow pad, like for kids who are going riding, or I don't believe whatever the fantasy equivalent of rollerblading is. We can have rollerblades. Highly
Ice
technical.
skating. My ice skate in the winter.
Yes.
That thought crosses your mind and quickly passes just as soon as you remember the giant desert outside.
Right.
Ah.
Can they not sand ski?
You think of some of the more ludicrous ways that you could convert some of the sports from your homelands into a more desert setting. Looking around, you see all sorts of equipment and weapons and the like. You don't see anything specifically sized for gnomes, but you do see sort of like what looks like a armor set for a young nobleman, so probably like the son of a very wealthy landlord or merchant, or potentially a leader of the town. It's something that sort of consists of like a breastplate and sort of padded clothing that you could fit onto probably a 10-year-old child, 11-year-old child.
Or a gnome.
Potentially. It might need a little bit of resizing, but you're certain that you could fit in it.
Does it look like it was made by this guy, or is he just selling it?
It's hard to tell, but potentially it could have been made.
I'll ask.
The
I will shimmy up and point at it and ask if that was made by whoever it is who's working on the store at the moment.
There's a old bearded man working on the forge at the moment. He pulls out a bit of metal and tosses it onto the bench to work on, and glances across quickly at what you're pointing at, and then returns to work. And in between each swing of the hammer, he says, "Yeah, made that. Oh, would have been a year or two ago, but the poor sod I made it for passed away of a fever. So it's there
Ow.
until anyone else who potentially can fit in something that small wants to take it off my hands."
Is fever running riot here, or was it a one-off?
It was a year or two back, so it sort of happens every couple of years, but that one was a really nasty one. They really do need to do something about the slums up the other end of town. Breeding pot of ill, that place.
The slums made the nobleman sick? Was he hanging out down there when he should not have been?
Well, the noblemen have lots of servants, and the servants are often where they're not meant to be, so you can't stop a disease. You can't just shut the door on the thing.
No, I guess that's true. You can't really shut a door on fire either. Anyway, we're getting off track. I am not looking to purchase an entire suit of armour. I am looking for essentially, and he'll shout back, what do you call it again? Elbow pads. Just for the elbows to fit someone of my stature for protection from falls or leaping out of buildings regularly. Only on the ground floor, mind you, for protection to somebody who is regularly having to run and throw themselves on the ground to avoid explosions.
The blacksmith finishes up on his piece and pops it back into the forge, and then glances at yourself, and then looks across at the armor and goes, "Well, it sounds like what you're after is not actually the armor itself, but there's a hauberk that went with that."
A what?
A hauberk, a gambeson. It's what you wear underneath the armor. It's padded.
Ah, yes! As one who is accustomed to armor, I knew exactly what you meant. I was just testing you. Yeah, that'll be quite cool. Have you got one? Yeah, would it fit?
Yeah, potentially. We'll get it out for size. And he nods across at one of his apprentices, who heads on out the back and comes out with a... Basically, it's a gambeson sized for a human child. It would probably be a little bit on the long side for someone of your height, but potentially with a little bit of rework, it would fit. And it would cover arms all the way up to shoulders, and then down to pretty much almost just above your ankles.
He'll look at it. And how much might this cost to procure?
He looks at it, looks at yourself, and goes...
I will flash him a smile that he will not see because it's underneath a mask.
And he chuckles and goes, "Well, it's not like it's going anywhere fast anyway, so I'll let you take it off my hands for 5 silver.
So I heard it's not like it's going anywhere fast anyway, and then silence.
Okay, it wasn't me.
Sorry.
Must have cut out. He said, and I'll give it to you for 5 silver. Testing 1, 2. Right.
How many copper are in a silver? I would need.
It's 100 copper in a silver, so 500 copper.
I don't have that much copper.
It could also technically be half a gold.
Do you have change for 1 gold? I appear to have you. Wait, hang on a second. And he'll take off his boot and he'll shake his boot. It'll be up to the DM if I have any silver left in my boots.
You shake your boot out, and 5 coins hit the ground and roll around.
Okay, I'll go find them.
The blacksmith is scratching his head watching this.
Right, I've got this one, and this one.
He takes the coins, looks at them, throws them into his apron, and nods to the apprentice and goes, "If it needs to be resized, just bring it back and we will cut measurements, but other than that, it is yours."
Cool. Thanks. Do you know anyone who could embroider it? No, that's probably too much. Never mind. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. As I take it, you're shopped for everything in this particular place? Or does anyone else want to look at weapons and
I'm
armor?
done, I swear I'm done.
As you leave, you hear a comment of, "I know this town has gone to hell at times, but do you have to hide money in shoes?"
Yep.
I was not hiding the money. I was dashing it.
With that, you see that a reasonable amount of time has passed, and it is starting to get later in the evening, and the sun is going down.
I'm picking up at sunrise, not sunset, right?
Yep.
Cool. Go on then, places to go, people to see.
And Whisp and Edric, I presume you're just going to follow Bingo?
I'm gonna head towards the Cirrus, and I believe that's the general direction that Bingo is going as well, right?
I'll be going the same as you, yeah.
Rightio. So you'll wander on off towards the Cirrus to stash your loot and your new purchases.
I'll stash it in the armory. I'll also check if everything is still there, seeing as I legit know from the top of my head what's supposed to be there.
You stick your head in and everything appears to be as it seems to be as you left it.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this quick moment, like close the door behind me so that I'm alone in this closed room. Shake out the beard, put it back within the scarf, and then I'm gonna head out.
Yep. And we will... How are people going for time, or do we need to...
Yeah?
I was just going to suggest that I probably should go soon.
Radio. What
Yeah,
I'll do
same.
is I will probably leave it here, and we will pick back up with, I think, Edric heading off towards the embassy, and I believe with Tarin and Mug trying to not get themselves killed at the next ship.
That sounds good.
Hey, I think we have done well so far.
I feel a little like Tarin has unexpectedly become Mug's carer.
I'm sure it's the other way around.
Radio.
Sure.
So if we want to say goodbye to the recording with a good old yo-ho, or whatever you feel like.
Yo-ho!
Suicidal sailors!
Yay!